After an impressive 13-match unbeaten run across all competitions, Chelsea's young squad was finally brought back down to earth with a 2-1 home defeat to Fulham at Stamford Bridge last night. Cole Palmer's moment of brilliance in the 16th minute wasn't enough for the Blues to secure points and keep the pressure on Liverpool in this season's Premier League title race. 2 consecutive winless matches have not only seen Chelsea fall further behind the league leaders, but also exposed several weaknesses in their tactical system. Throughout the 90 minutes last night, Fulham arguably validated manager Enzo Maresca's earlier assertions that Chelsea are not yet ready to compete for the title. Maresca seemingly proved his point that Chelsea, in their current state, are not legitimate title contenders. Hosting Fulham, Chelsea deployed their familiar 3-6-1 all-out attacking formation under Enzo Maresca. Left wing-back Marc Cucurella operated with freedom, drifting inside and often pushing high, level with attacking midfielders Cole Palmer and Enzo Fernandez. This provided Chelsea's midfield with a numerical advantage, gave the center-backs more passing options, and importantly, offered greater support to the wingers, Jadon Sancho and Noni Madueke in this match, allowing them to pose a significant threat to Fulham's defense. In previous analyses of Maresca's tactics, we highlighted the intention of utilizing free-roaming number 8 midfielders to provide maximum support to the wingers, with midfielders like Cucurella and Enzo Fernandez operating with this freedom. Chelsea's wingers can execute overlapping runs, quick 1-2s, and occupy advantageous spaces in the final third. This allows them to leverage their strengths in speed and dribbling to disrupt any defensive system. Naturally, facing an explosive attack like Chelsea's this season, Coach Marco Silva and his staff fully understand the danger posed by their combinations. In this match, when defending without the ball, Fulham will deploy a 4-1-4-1 formation with wingers Alex Iwobi and Adama Traore tucking inside centrally. Their task is to occupy the space between Chelsea's wide center-backs, while simultaneously preventing the ball from reaching Chelsea's 2 number 8 midfielders. Despite having a clear plan, in the opening minutes, Fulham still showed lapses in concentration, allowing Chelsea's wingers and number 8s to connect with each other. A prime example of this was in the 8th minute, when Traore was positioned too close to center-back Colwill. This created a vast amount of space for Tosin Adarabioyo to deliver a precise pass to Cucurella. The Spanish star immediately laid it off to Sancho and then made a bursting run down the flank, drawing Harry Wilson with him. This opened up a large gap, allowing Sancho to dribble centrally before delivering a dangerous cross into the Fulham box. However, Silva and his staff didn't allow this situation to persist. For the remainder of the first half, he instructed central midfielders Sasa Lukic and Andreas Pereira to work in tandem with the 2 wingers, double-teaming and pressing both Cucurella and Enzo to completely isolate Chelsea's wingers. In the 20th minute, after Sancho received the ball from center-back Colwill, we can clearly see his teammate Cucurella being tightly marked by both Traore and defender Diop, effectively shutting down any potential 1-2 passing combinations between the 2 Chelsea players. Left with no other options, Sancho was forced to pass back to Moises Caicedo. 9 minutes later, in another passage of play down Chelsea's left flank, Cucurella passed the ball to Sancho. Normally, the Spaniard would then attempt a bursting run to exploit the space behind the opposing fullback. However, in this instance, Cucurella was closely monitored by both Traore and Castagne, preventing him from executing an overlapping run with Sancho. Sancho, unable to link up with his teammate, was also forced to play the ball back. Not only did they neutralize the dangerous combinations between Chelsea's wingers and their free-roaming number 8 midfielders, but Fulham's defensive system proved to be a real puzzle for Maresca. In this instance, Fulham organized a tight press involving their entire team. Striker Raul Jimenez, using arcing runs, was tasked with closely marking any passes from goalkeeper Robert Sanchez, while simultaneously preventing him from switching the play to center-back Levi Colwill or midfielder Caicedo. Meanwhile, Fulham's 2 wingers, Traore and Iwobi, had different responsibilities. Iwobi, in particular, was tasked with marking the right-sided center-back, Tosin, while constantly keeping an eye on passes to Caicedo. This allowed him to form a triangle with Jimenez and Lukic, effectively trapping the Ecuadorian midfielder and preventing him from distributing the ball. Traoré tightly marked Cucurella, often leaving Sanchez with only the option of a long, safe clearance, forcing his teammates into a 50-50 aerial duel. And when Sanchez was forced into these long clearances, the advantage shifted decisively to Fulham. Their tall, physically imposing defenders excelled in aerial battles and could easily overpower the likes of Nicholas Jackson or Cole Palmer, allowing Fulham to regain possession. Fulham's well-organized, deep defensive system effectively neutralized most of Chelsea's coordinated attacks, with the exception of moments of individual brilliance, like Cole Palmer's opening goal, where the Englishman single-handedly bypassed 3 defenders before unleashing a powerful shot past Bernd Leno. Maresca wasn't only outmaneuvered by Silva in terms of attacking strategy, his defensive system also lacked the solidity of his Portuguese counterparts. Chelsea, when defending without the ball, maintained their familiar 4-2-4 formation. Striker Jackson was tasked with closely marking goalkeeper Leno, as well as center-back Joachim Andersen. As soon as the ball reached the German goalkeeper, Jackson was instructed to move in an arcing run, cutting off Leno's passing lane to Andersen. Meanwhile, the surrounding players also had their designated markers. Sancho tracked right-sided center-back Issa Diop. Palmer covered Lukic. Enzo Fernandez marked Calvin Campsey, and Pedro Neto was responsible for Anthony Robinson. However, the problem is clear. While Cucurella struggles to keep up with Traoré, who will mark Fulham's right back, Castagne? In the first half, Castagne frequently escaped Chelsea's press to launch dangerous attacks for the Whites. In the 3rd minute, Fulham built up play from the back. Chelsea immediately set up their high press as analyzed above. After center-back Diop received the ball, Sancho pressed him, but in doing so, the Englishman left a gaping hole for Castagne. Recognizing this, Diop immediately passed to Lukic, who then played a simple through ball to the unmarked Castagne, completely bypassing Chelsea's high press. 8 minutes later, the same pattern repeated with passes from Diop to Lukic and finally to Castagne, who found himself with acres of space to dribble into and launch an attack for Fulham. In the second half, Maresca attempted to fix the issue by instructing Sancho to mark Castagne. However, this created an even bigger gap for right-sided center-back Diop, who became the new key to neutralizing Chelsea's press. In this instance, we can clearly see the vast space afforded to Diop after Sancho was pulled wide to track Castagne. The Frenchman even dribbled almost to the halfway line without facing any pressure from the opposition. And once their high press was neutralized, Chelsea's already suspect defense began to show significant cracks. This was evident in Fulham's equalizing goal, highlighting the lack of a true leader at the back. Colwill and Tosin failed to communicate effectively and assign marking duties. Midfielder Harry Wilson's unexpected run into the box left Colwill in a 2-on-1 situation, also having to account for striker Rodrigo Muniz, while Tosin was isolated and unaware of Wilson's run in behind. By the time the Englishman realized the danger, the ball was already in the back of the net. The second goal conceded stemmed more from a lack of fitness than tactical issues. Chelsea's defenders and midfielders appeared exhausted after a physically demanding match. Colwill and Cucurella, having pushed high up the pitch, were incredibly slow to track back, leaving Chelsea's box in a 3-on-2 situation with only Enzo and Tosin defending. The result, as we saw, was that with just 3 passes, Fulham scored the decisive goal that secured them 3 points in the West London derby. Maresca's approach seems justified, with the current squad and the relative inexperience of some players. Chelsea aren't yet equipped to be major contenders in the fiercely competitive Premier League, especially given their defensive frailties. Fulham simply exploited every weakness in the Blues' defense to punish Maresca's side. This makes Chelsea's dream of overtaking Liverpool at the top of the table seem increasingly unlikely.